Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the Retro Wrestling Room. In this series, we are looking at every wrestling game that was released for the original PlayStation. Are they all good? Have any of them actually aged well? Let's check them out and see where we end up. Let's go! As we start to get into this game, things may start to look very familiar. Power Move Pro Wrestling was released in Europe just before Christmas on the 20th of December 1996. This is essentially a reskin of Toukon Retsuden and has replaced the New Japan Pro Wrestling roster with an entirely made up roster for a Western audience. Looking at the covers, it is a bit uninspiring compared to the classic looking Toukon Retsuden cover, but at least you know instantly what type of game this is, I guess. Ooh, and over 50 moves available. GameFan were big fans, declaring that the game was quite simply the best wrestling game ever. Saying that though, if you actually track back to the review in the December 1996 edition of the magazine, two writers hold very different views of the game. Strap states that it has awesome texture matte polygonal stadiums and it is pure, anabolically enhanced wrestling joy. Whereas Joe says that it wasn't enough for him, not in concept, moves, action graphics, music or sound effects. I couldn't find any Power Move Pro Wrestling strategy guide, but I did find a Toukon Retsuden one, so hopefully I can learn some new moves and techniques. Oh wait, it's all in Japanese, isn't it? This is going to be tricky. There are slight tweaks to some of the animations apparently, but I didn't notice anything glaring while playing. But let's take a proper look. As you'll see on the startup page in the background, they've tweaked the New Japan Pro Wrestling logo to include a bulldog mascot instead of the classic lion. Something I had no idea about when I was a nipper playing this game. The word on the street is that the developers thought that a Western audience would prefer a roster filled with the likes of wrestlers that we saw on Pro Wrestling Secrets. We had wrestlers like The Judge, Malibu Mike, The Egyptian, and the always fearful Danny McGee.
Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
There are 4 difficulty modes on the menu. You can either choose easy, medium, hard, or the WoW rating. As I'm usually hopeless at these type of games, I'd always go for the medium setting. So let's jump into the game and see what the ring announcer has to say.
At 6'2", 257 pounds, he's the guy who gets all the ladies and some of the men. Lance Dulac!
Whoa, steady on, don't be spreading rumours about Lance. You mean not want people to know that? So like in the previous game in the series, this works on a rock paper scissors mechanic, where a strong grapple will defeat a strike will beat the submission, whereas a submission will beat grapples. If the sight of Lance is a bit too much for you, you could always choose to swap the angle to the cheap seats. Why? I'm not really sure, but there is an option for it. If the match is especially great, you can also save the match so you can go back and watch it at a later date. So we still have the same movesets as before, with the likes of the German and vertical suplexes all feeling like they have power and force to them. And all the characters seem to have that slightly floating around the ring movement as if they're ice skating. I don't mean to pick on people's personal appearance, but look at Rathbone Sally the ref there. What exactly would you call that body type? In most games that we have become accustomed with, the better that you are doing in the match, your meter will start to flash so you can hit your signature or finishing moves. But here is the complete opposite. If you are getting destroyed in the bout, your name will start to flash and you will temporarily become stronger, and then you'll be able to pull off bigger moves. One sad omission from the game is that Red Shoe's iconic break call that you could hear 1,000 times in the match. So that was Power Move Pro Wrestling for the original PlayStation. Technically it was the same game as Toukon Retsuden, but with a few different animations and an all new made up characters replacing the New Japan Pro Wrestling roster, so it's hard to add anything new to this review. I never quite got the theory that people in the West would not be interested in characters that look like Jushin Thunder Liger, and would be more interested in the mean machine Danny McGee.
Mr. McGee! Mr. McGee.
Surely it must have been down to licensing issues. Even though I remember seeing this game around a lot as a kid, there wasn't a sequel to the game, which is surprising considering there were 2 sequels to the Toukon Retsuden games on the system, as well as the much acclaimed 4th game on the Dreamcast. There were even versions released for the Game Boy Advance, as well as the Wonder Swan, but for Power Move it was one and done. It would have been interesting to see where King Og and his mates would have progressed. So where would I rank this compared to Toukon Retsuden? I would 100% prefer to play Toukon Retsuden over Power Move Pro Wrestling, but it would really come down to my personal preference. But for me, I would place this in the 3rd tier of the list, but 1 place behind Toukon Retsuden. Thanks for watching today's episode guys. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we will see you next time for the very first WWF game on the system, WWF WrestleMania the arcade game.